Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. Welcome back to another edition of Big Hairy News, our 100th episode. Go Chewie. I was cheers. I was watching Tropic Thunder in the weekend, and the two characters talking about playing Simple Jack. You never go full. I was just thinking, Chewie, you never go full Chewie. You never go full Chewbacca, Chewie. You never go full Chewbacca.
It's a special occasion. I'm a serious broadcaster. That's what this says. It's so fluffy.
Yeah. So it's actually like a onesie, a Chewbacca onesie.
No, it's just a hoodie that I got off the internet. But yeah, it's good. It comes out usually Star Wars Day.
May the 4th.
Yep, May the 4th.
It's it's a cool top. Do you struggle to walk past anything that's got to do with Chewbacca? Like if it's a good price and have you got like 300 Chewbacca things in the back room?
I almost bought some Chewbacca shoes the other day, but they don't ship to New Zealand, which felt like a hate crime.
Full cosplay. Carl loves it, he says. Full cosplay. Well, for those of you who are joining us, I kind of know this is a bit ridiculous because we're still like a little small pissant entity, but we've done 100 small pissant shows. So we thought, let's just have a bit of fun tonight on our 100th show and hang out and chat. And we might have some other kind of co-hosts, maybe Jeremy Elwood, maybe Penny Ashton. Tom Much from Ukraine said he might stick his head in as well, just for a few minutes here and there, and just say g'day and have a bit of a chat. We've also started up the Discord as well. And we tested the Discord this afternoon and it worked. So,
hey,
doesn't mean it's going to work tonight, but it worked this afternoon. So if you are someone who wants to have a bit of a chat with us tonight across Discord, by chat, I mean, obviously speaking to us, then you can go jump in the Discord and jump into the waiting room. And in that waiting room, if you're in the waiting room, it means you probably want to have a chat with us. And in there, at some stage through the night, off and on, we'll drag some people in if they want to have a chat, and you can say g'day to us and we can say g'day to you on our 100th show. It's a weird one because this has been very much a labor of love. It's been very much a bit of a soft launch, this idea of running this. We are trying to do something a bit unique and not being done in New Zealand. And I think we have. I guess there'll probably be other ones around, and you can liken us from time to time at White Man Behind a Desk, that he's kind of giving information from an independent source. But I guess the whole sort of daily news conversation and looking at the world through our eyes and putting our spin and our perspective on it, but also being fair to the truth of the stories as well as we see them, at least, and just going for it. So I kind of feel like it's a bit of an accomplishment to get to 100. I know in podcasting, if you make like 20 podcasts, you're in like the top 5% of number of podcasts in the world. Like, in other words, most people don't get to 20 podcasts. So I don't know, there's got to be something in it. And we just thought it's kind of almost going to have a night off. We've got some things to chat about tonight, but just to go, thanks for you guys who have joined and all the names that we see regularly. Thanks to you guys for joining us. And have a bit of fun. And of course, we do have to also chastise Chewie. Should we start with your little story, Chewie? And actually, first of all, before we do that, do you guys want to say anything? About our 100th episode and our 100 shows, and me and Chewie started this off kind of before the show number 1 with a couple of testing things and what we said we were going to do and what we've done. If you guys want to share any thoughts first of all?
I think it's cool. Like, we keep on getting the same people coming back in the chat, and there's been some really, really good discussions, and look, there's so much out there in the internet that is just a shit flinging horrible brawl Nobody's exchanging ideas; they're just slinging off at each other. And our chat's lovely, even when we get someone that comes in pretty hot. It's been nice. We like dissenting voices because it's a better discussion. Otherwise, it would just be a bunch of us three agreeing with each other, and all the people in the chat going, "Yes, they're making good points." It gets very, very, very boring very quickly.
Yeah, I think one of the most special things about something like this is that you sort of grow a community around the show. And that's probably been the most, I guess, surprising thing for me as well. Or the thing that I didn't think was going to be the highlight. That and just having a place to have these more long form conversations with not just experts but whoever. I think that's another sort of benefit of this platform.
Yeah, and I think the long form thing is probably one of the places that we when I say excel, I guess I kind of am wanting to kind of ring our bell a little bit, but I'm not saying others don't do it well, but I think we do it almost more consistently than anybody else. It's sort of become our MO, and I know, for example, and I can show you if you like. Let's bring up this. This is just some of the guests that we've had on this year. These few months.
Good list.
These are just some of the people we've had on in the first wee while. And if you and I like it, and I like and love everyone that's come on, but if you just have a look at some of the the academics, Otago University, University of Canterbury, Victoria University, also really interesting people like Jenny McGee, who was Boris Johnson's nurse, came on for a bit, University of Auckland, University of Otago University, experts from the New Zealand Tech podcast, expert on electric cars, Auckland University of Technology, international journalists from Deadline.com, and there was one earlier, I think, which I'll skip past, from the New York Times, University of Auckland, a Ukrainian politician, Ina Sufsan, came on, had a chat. Susie Wiles has been on, Massey University with people, University of Otago. Just the list goes on and on and on of people who have really added to the show. And what I found, without kind of going, we're the best, we are the best, but without saying it out loud, is that the academics love coming on because of exact idea that we get to speak about something. I mean, like an academic can probably talk for 3 hours on their subject matter, but talk about something until we get to a point of wrapping up. I like Susie Wiles as an example. Yeah, I've seen her quite a few times on 7 Sharp. And there's been a couple of times I've literally timed how long Susie's been on for, and no disrespect, because they've got a way to do it. 90 seconds, like 100 seconds that she's talking about, fucking COVID, one of the most important things that we should be talking about, comes on here, talks for 25 minutes. Able to get into deeper things, and almost without challenge, the academics come on here. And, if we ever have a follow-up or a kind of conversation, one of the things they all arguably say is, I love being able to talk for a bit longer and, and just being able to really deep into it, get into it. Yeah, Carl's mentioning Kate Roger from News Hub as well.
She was magic. Yeah,
well, the thing with Kate, speaking of time, I actually watched her on the 10 p.m. show the night before. And again, I counted, and it was something like 72 seconds. It was the Oscar conversation with her on TV3. No disrespect for them, that's their myth. That's why they do it. Like 72 seconds, and I'm sorry. It's like, what can you get in that time frame? So we are setting ourselves aside a bit, and we are saying we're going to own it. This is us. This is who we are, and this is how we do it. And it's it's been fun, and it's been fun so far. And I hope we get to keep on going for quite a long time. There are some things that will be dependent on, but we're enjoying it, and we're enjoying you guys being a part of it. Sorry, Chewie, you going to say something?
The example that I can think of is how many academics have we had on to, again, talk, but also talk without fear of being politically ambushed. Like we had that kicked off our whole interaction with the platform. That whole thing was like, this is grossly unfair.
Yeah.
So that's why we did that show.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a fan for life there.
Well, and yeah, for sure, for real. Hey, look, I tell you what, one of our other people who's been on multiple times.
Who's
as
at the
co-host,
door?
Who's
There's
at the door?
somebody at
Ding
the door.
dong. Jeremy Elwood. Good evening, sir.
Hey, good evening. I was just looking at the screen and figured you just didn't have enough beards on the screen today, so figured I'd jump in. Yeah.
Hey, dude, thanks for what you've been involved with so far. You know, you're someone who's got.
Congrats to you. I mean, I don't know how many I've done, but certainly not 100. So, yeah, it's a milestone. I don't know if you got a telegram from the Queen or something, but yeah,
In the post.
It's absolutely worth marking. Well done.
Thanks, dude. Well, we're just kind of having a bit. Well, maybe we'll throw one of our actual news topics at you tonight, Jeremy, because there's some pretty big important ones around, like Chewie getting banned from Twitter. That's a pretty big important one to talk about tonight. But no, look, we appreciate you being on board. You know, it's been fun when you've been here, and you know, it's been much worse when you haven't. But that's okay. We muddle through, and you know, you and I go back quite a long way. I think 2008 was our first podcast season with an election podcast season. And before that, Theatre Sports Auckland for a short crossover period. But this has been new for us, and we're just kind of tonight sitting here going, you know, there's only, when I say only, it's right, but it's only 100 episodes of a show that hasn't got to where it wants to go yet. But it's like, what's 100? You know, any reason to celebrate? And we're pretty happy. So we thought, wow, let's have a bit, like we're a news conversation today. Tonight's going to be more a conversation news, like the emphasis on the conversation and less on the news. But we just want to hang out, and all these lovely people who have been a part of the show since either day one or very soon on. You know, we want to say thanks to them as well, and hopefully we'll see them in the next 100 and the 100 after that and the 100 after that. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you're slowly chipping away at that. What is it, the 10,000 hour thing they say? You got to do something for 10,000 hours before you're genuinely an expert at it. You know, so you've got 100 under your belt, man. Not counting the 9,900 and however many you did before you started this show. Yeah, and most actually, I think Chewie, this is the first time we've been face to face as much as this show goes. But I've been enjoying your stuff as well, and George was just sitting there in the background, and yeah, it's a great little team you've put together, man. Well done.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Hey, shall we have a look? I'm sure, Jeremy, you've probably seen this, but you'll love it if you haven't. Let's all of us together, before we say sayonara to Jeremy, have a look at Donald Trump not being able to say words, because that was most enjoyable.
This is my favorite.
So for people who haven't seen this, and there must be one or two, we all know about January 6th and what happens there in the January 6th committee that's going on at the moment. Well, on January 7th, basically everyone involved with the White House, including Ivanka Trump, forced Donald Trump to make I was going to say a conciliatory message. There wasn't much concession in it. In fact, there were some things he refused to say, but the reports are that it took over an hour to record his 3-minute message to the nation, and the January 6th committee got their hands on some of the bloopers. It sounds like I'm setting up for a joke, and here they are now. It's actually, this is for real. This is him trying to get through. Now, look, I stumble over the words at the best of times, and I get it, but I just can't imagine a Barack Obama or a Clinton or having this much difficulty with like the word yesterday as an example. Let's have a quick look.
Obtained the never before seen raw footage of the president recording his address to the nation that day on January 7th, more than 24 hours after the last time he had addressed the nation from the Rose Garden. Let's take a look.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday, and to those who broke the law, you will pay. You do not represent our movement. You do not represent our country. And if you broke the law, you can't say that. I'm not going to, I already said you will pay. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of justice. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well. Okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. Let's go. But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay?
But Congress is certified. Now Congress is
Yeah, right.
Now Congress
I didn't say over, so let me see. Go to the paragraph before. Okay? I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. Yesterday is a hard word for me.
Just take it out. The heinous attack.
Good. Take the word yesterday because it doesn't work with
My brain.
the heinous attack on our country. Say on our country. Want to say that?
No, keep it.
My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote.
Oh,
There you go.
what, a modern wordsmith.
Yeah. I mean,
Just
on
riffing.
some level, I can imagine me being as bad as that, but I don't know.
Well, I think one thing. I mean, if it did anything, hopefully that destroyed anyone who still had any of his supporters who still had the illusion that he was brilliant on television because he was so off the cuff. That actually, to me, that looks like a guy who has filmed however many series of reality TV he's done. He knows how to do an outtake.
Yeah.
The really scary thing was some of his fans were actually, some of his supporters, including members of Congress, were saying that showed that he was thinking on the fly, that he was, editing as he went to make the speech better. No, not so much.
Not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much. I also think, I mean, I'm not going to say you heard it here first, but the more I think about it, the more I think he either won't run or won't win the nomination. And I think what I'm reading at the moment and hearing at the moment is one of the reasons he won't is if someone like DeSantis becomes the nomination, then they get 8 years out of him. Whereas if Trump gets in, they only get a maximum of 4 years out of him. So I think that might work against him, along with all the other pussy grabbing issues that might work against him. But that may work against him enough to have Republican voters go, well, we want our man in there for the next 8, not just 4, even though our 4-year man would be godlike. So I don't think he'll get there.
The unfortunate thing,
always-
though, is if you know anything about DeSantis, is he's basically Trump but smart.
Trump with the brain.
And that's the fact that there are a number of people who would look at it at first glance and go, "Oh, thank God it's not Trump. I'll vote for him," is actually kind of frightening.
We could have had the first Republican president to die on the toilet, though. That would have been good.
Yeah, and Baz Luhrmann would make a film about him in 20 years. Yeah. Actually, I'd love to see Baz Luhrmann's take on Trump. That'd be that's about the only person I can think of who could do a biopic of Trump. It would have to be a completely over the top, borderline musical. It would have to
A
be.
musical with Lin-Manuel Miranda writing the music for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
good luck
please
there,
not.
I think. Yeah.
A whole dream sequence about a gold-plated toilet.
Yeah.
No, this is writing itself.
I'll tell you what, Jeremy, and a little bit of a broadcast for everybody else. It's not a biopic, but there's that documentary series Unprecedented playing at the moment. I've got the director of that on Tuesday in the podcast. So a bit of an exclusive here in New Zealand that we'll be talking to Alex Holder. So he's got hopefully some goss about the inner workings of the Trump family and the White House when we have him here on Tuesday. So it's going to be fun.
Excellent.
Very cool. Hey, all right. Hey, Jeremy, thanks for coming and jumping in for a bit and saying good day. Really appreciate it.
I really do just want to pop in and say, happy 100th, and hopefully I'll be here on the 200th. I'll be on before then as well. I'll see you again soon. But yeah, well done everyone, and particularly George just plowing away in the background there, man, just keeping this thing rolling. Well done. It's good. And
thanks, Jeremy.
All right,
all right, mate. All the best, and all the best to Michelle as well. There you go. Yeah, that Trump thing's interesting, eh? I mean, we've said before that one of the problems with Biden has lots of problems, but one of the problems is not him rerunning at 82, is that at the end of that cycle he'd be 86. And can we really honestly say that anyone would want an 86-year-old president? So you're probably going to find the next election cycle in the US is going to be two newbies, or if not two newbies, two people who haven't actually been president. There may be some people who have run before and not made it, but it's going to be like a 4-year cycle to have 2 new runs as well, which is fairly uncommon.
God, I just want them to pick someone younger, not have some decrepit old skeleton.
Gavin Newsom for the Democrats, I reckon. I think he's what he's lining himself up for at the moment, and DeSantis for the Republicans.
I don't know too much about who might be jockeying for position, but I always like that guy. He's got that really weird last name. Pete
Buttigieg. Yeah,
I like him. I don't know how realistic.
He's a bit of a spook.
A bit of a what?
A spook. He's
Spook.
CIA.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we need,
he's
James
one of those Democrats that likes to say, like, oh, those guns, those are weapons of war. They're better served in the arms of our soldiers overseas. Killing kids. But when they're talking about the gun debate in the States.
Yeah,
he also
we need these guns in other countries' schools, not ours. Pause for applause. Yeah. Okay.
Several people jumping in on the actual who's going to run idea, which is Kim says that I'm underestimating him. Totally think Trump will be the next president. Well, I think if he gets the nomination, I think he's got a good shot of being the next president. But I guess what I'm asserting is I don't think he'll be the next nominee. I think it will come. And to be honest, I looked at some analysis today of what's happening with Trump voters and people likely to vote for Trump after January 6th. The January 6th committee has made a difference. No one thought it would at the start. They thought no one would pay attention, especially the voters. But it actually has moved the needle on people voting for him. And I still think it'll come down to that idea of a Republican having to pick who their nominee is going to be. Do we want to put, this person we consider to be a god back in for 4 years, or do we want to put something in who will possibly be there for 8 years? I reckon it might come down to nothing more than that. So that's I'm not saying I'm going to be right, but I don't think Trump will be the nominee for those main reasons. And I'm not underestimating that. Look, even Simple says that Trump will still run. He needs to grift to make money. He has personal loans overdue. Yep, completely. 100% agree with you.
100%. Yep.
I just don't think the voter's going to nominate him. Now, what is it? It's the 25th of July 2022, 10:22 p.m. in the evening. Someone mark it, come back and tell me I'm wrong when I'm wrong. I'm completely down with that. We'll wait and see. Brendan's asking for the link to the Discord server. Did you get a copy of that, George? Just put it in the chat, mate.
I put it in the chat and then thought, oh, maybe you're not meant to do that because that's how bots search for Discord things and then come and spam. But oh well, it's done.
Just put it in the public chat and then people can come and find it.
Yeah,
if they want
that's
to do
what
it.
I did.
So if you're just joining us, we're gonna go to Discord at some stage tonight. I can see Planner Walk Nick's in there as well in the waiting room already. If you're on Discord, and obviously it's the first time we've ever used it, so there might be 2 people there. But if you are and you want to have a chat with us, then jump in the waiting room and we'll drag
Mm-hmm.
across when we get a chance to do that. But Chewie, you also had some
maybe we can show it on screen because I don't think it will let me post it in the chat. I've tried twice now.
That's a good idea.
Hang on a sec, because I did this last week. I put it on Friday. Control C. I put it in the comments. I put it down here. This is good broadcasting. And I put DOC there, and I do that. And there it is. It's just popped up in the chat under DOC Studios, discord.gg, and then a whole...
right, the user can do it. I see what you mean, yeah.
Cool. So now you can have a look at that. But look, we are, I can show it as well. I've got it on a different screen, so we're not going to necessarily show it when we're doing it. But there it is. There's the Discord, and it's got a memes section. Some very helpful help there in Politica. We have to set it up. This is my favorite meme so far. Viruses of New Zealand, COVID, influenza, monkeypox, and foot and mouth. I think that's utterly hilariously brilliant. But apparently Chewie is someone who loves the meme, and he's been
I have folders of memes.
So yeah, if you want to have a chat, jump in Discord. Look, I'll say it again, as unprofessional as it sounds. Don't know if it's going to work or not. It worked this afternoon. Nick's Planner Walk's in the waiting room, so we'll definitely go. Well, should we go to Planner Walk now? Should we give it a go?
Mm-hmm.
Planner Walk, hopefully you're ready for us to come to you, because we're going to come and have a chat with you now and see if you're in there. And we say, hello, sir. Can you hear us?
Ahoy, hoy.
Ahoy, hoy, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. How are you feeling? Are you over the lurgy?
Mostly. I've still got a slight bit of a cough, but, even with flus, they don't go away instantly. So,
hey, let's test this. Chewie, can you hear Planner Walk?
I can. Yes.
And Planner Walk, did you just hear Chewie say I can?
Yes.
Hey, success.
Hey, this is pretty cool.
I do have a question, by the way.
Go for it.
Who's trying to copy who with their beard?
Oh, mine's longer. Doesn't that mean I'm the OG?
Probably.
Mine's born of laziness. I mean, can you see my hair? I need a fucking haircut.
Hey,
But
look,
we-
I have to say, one time at high school, where they pulled all the 6th and 7th form boys into a meeting at my school in Timaru to talk about grooming standards and how we were all expected to be clean shaven.
Your teacher,
I
the
had
groomers?
managed to grow a goatee without anybody mentioning it. And so I was singled out by some of the kids that were being told to shave. It's like, look at Bennett. And my history teacher, who had a phenomenal history teacher beard, said, yes, but his looks good. And I was like, yes, I have one school.
Planet Walk, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your support, and for being around from time to time and adding into the conversation. We really do appreciate your take on things.
Thank you.
But
I'm always happy to join.
yeah, it's been good.
Did you have any other questions while we're here, or talking points?
I don't really have any questions. It's sort of one of them things where it's always interesting to jump into the conversation that sort of see where it goes.
Yeah, well, let's jump into this conversation. What about conspiracy theories? Chewie wanted to talk a bit about conspiracy theories.
Yes, what's your favorite conspiracy
Planet
theory?
Planet Walk is heavily involved in debunking the flat Earth. So if anyone wants to talk about that conspiracy theory right now, Planet Walk is somewhat of an expert in that. Do you have a favorite conspiracy, Planner?
Oh, that's a good question. It really depends what you mean by favorite conspiracy theory, because some conspiracy theories are more interesting, right? So when it comes to the more interesting conspiracy theories, that's the sort of new age conspiracy theories, like that soon we're going to enter into another realm and there's going to be a war. Those ones are very interesting. I don't know a whole lot about those ones, but they're quite interesting because it's like, how did they come up with that?
Yeah, no, look, I think that I think you're right. I think, like I was talking to Chewie this afternoon, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I like it when you can ask a question about something and there not be an actual definitive answer for it necessarily. Like for me, for example, 9/11, which I don't think, for example, to start with, that America attacked itself or any of that thing, but I am intrigued that there's no good footage of planes hitting the Pentagon. And when I said this to Chewie this afternoon, I went, oh, I haven't talked about this for like 10, 15 years. I should probably go and have a look. And when I did a Google search, the exact video that came up was the one that was there 20 years ago, whenever it was, that you couldn't really see anything. There was just a flash as this thing hit the Pentagon. So whilst I don't believe that that is a conspiracy theory, it has always intrigued me that when you're at the Pentagon, buildings around, hotels, everything, there's not a single that I found, single decent bit of footage of a plane hitting the Pentagon like there is hitting the towers, which I just has always found a bit strange, that one myself.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that, when it comes to the 9/11 things, I think that one is the one that people generally get into first. I used to believe that 9/11 was an inside job, and then I sort of thought about it for a bit more, and then I eventually came to realize that, wait, no, it just makes zero sense if it's an inside job. Well, it can make some sense, but it's one of them things where if you look at everything, it doesn't make any sense. So, yeah.
Hey, Planner, thanks for joining us tonight, mate. We really appreciate you jumping in and having. But you, the first is this a call in, a talk back? What are we calling it, Chewie and George? Or whatever it is, you're the first one to ever do one, mate. So we appreciate it.
It only took you 100 episodes to get here.
Well, we have been talking about building the thing slowly. Like we started with something, and then a little ways down the track, we put out the audio podcast, and then a little bit later we opened up and started up the Facebook chain, and then now we've just done this. And part of it's because we're still kind of doing this for the love of it. You know, we would like to grow this to being a marketable and profitable opportunity as well. And when that does happen, this is the grounding we're doing. So I guess you got to manage your time, and constantly working for free. You just take it a bit more slowly. I guess that's what I'm saying. Take it a bit more slowly. Anyway, anything, guys?
I like the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
I think that's the. I love the theory. My dad used to tell me this that because I was fascinated by JFK from a young age, and his theory, and this is actually a theory I think that some people have followed up on, that there were two assassins there that weren't aware of each other. That there was just a
Ah.
coincidence
that's a good one.
that two assassins were there at the same time. But the reason I love JFK is the reason that I am interested in, the story around 9/11, which is a sort of dodgy story, in that it just sort of, there's sort of outbursts of background political dynamics that are happening, right? They're usually like flashpoints in some sort of battle between the real power behind the throne or whatever it is. The interesting stuff with 9/11, I guess, is, without getting into the event itself, is just the intelligence failing, which at some points along the timeline doesn't look like incompetence, but actually looks like purposely missing the mark in terms of Al Qaeda's sort of capabilities and all that stuff. But yeah, JFK is the one that has that, and it has that sort of romance of Kennedy and the time period, the 60s, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a really interesting theory, George. So the idea that perhaps someone, whoever organized two assassins in case one failed, but they both were successful. Hence, you get that shot from the back and the falling forward. I got most of my introduction to that, as probably most people did, for the JFK movie, the Kevin Costner movie, which is apparently full of all sorts of holes and stuff. But for those who haven't seen it, there's this theory of the magic bullet. If it's just one shooter, that the bullet has to go through various parts of the body, hang in the air for 0.2 of a second, then spin 90 degrees and hit somewhere else, because there was only kind of one bullet found, or one. Anyway, it was it's an interesting watch. And I think the other thing about conspiracy theories is, for every one that's correct, for 99 that are wrong, it gives people enough kind of information to go, well, let's keep going on the other ones as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For every one plausible, for every 99 that's implausible, that one that's plausible keeps people going.
I have a personal favorite, and because you guys have gone super dark, my one.
Birds, are you?
No. I think I've banged that drum enough, and if I make too much noise about it, they'll come for me. No, my favorite is actually that Paul McCartney died and was replaced, and that the cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is just full of references to the fact that Paul McCartney died. The sort of, the idea is that in 1966 he had an argument with his bandmates during a recording session, drove off in his car, crashed, and was decapitated. And that rather than stop the money train, they got basically an impersonator in, and have been faking it ever since. And it will be even better if he's the last Beatle standing.
So where does where does this come from? Normally, with a conspiracy theory, there's often a reason behind it. Like the flat Earth is because NASA is making all this money. It's a money-driven thing. I guess it's a money-driven thing, then, isn't it?
So I'm just flicking through the backstory on it. The rumor's been circulating since 1967. So it's just been feeding on itself ever since. And it's just because all of their songs, you're playing backwards, there's hidden meaning, and does that sound like it's saying Paul is dead? Why does Sgt. Pepper's look like a funeral? Just I love it. There's no like apart from saying that someone's dead and has been lied about for decades, there's no real meanness to it. Like this isn't gonna spark a political revolution or anything like that. It's just that the Beatles are able to be swapped out.
I wonder, how would you prove that you are you, Chewie? If I made that claim about you, that you are not the original Chewbacca, I mean, you look exactly like the original Chewbacca as I look
Right,
at the
and
screen
that's
right
all
now.
the proof I need.
But how would you actually prove that? Like, how would any of us, to get a bit existential, prove that we are the actual person that we claim to be? Like that we
Right,
haven't
well,
been replaced by someone else.
I'm just saying I'm having a beer, not hits from the bong, so I can't answer that. Like, are we even real, dude? Like,
But that's that. I guess that's that thing that helps conspiracy theories, because conspiracy theorists don't offer evidence for things. They often go, "Well, you prove me wrong." And if they offer it, like you prove me wrong that it's not that Paul McCartney didn't die, prove me wrong, and, which you can't prove it. But you know that's often the go-to.
yeah, debate me, coward. You
Yeah.
can't. You
As I
can't
gish-
definitively
as I-
prove that
As
he's
I
not dead.
gallop down State Highway 1. What
I
about
like
you, George?
Kooky Nick mentions UAPs, the like sort of contemporary term that the government uses for UFOs.
I think they're real.
Unidentified
I think they're
aerial
real.
phenomenon. Yeah, I think all the stuff that came out of the Nimitz videos.
Yeah, they were super convincing.
Yeah, like all the stuff around there, and that guy who's done a bit of a tour, done a bit of a press tour talking about it. The dude who was on one of the fighter jets.
But can I ask this question though? To me, it's not a conversation of are UFOs real or whatever UAP stands for. But are they extraterrestrial? Because an unidentified flying object in and of itself is just something that you can't identify. But that could it could be, as it says here, it could be from the Pentagon, it could be from Russia, it could be from China, it could be something that's secret. But the only thing I really want to know is if people think that they're, but the people that's what I want to know though, is that an alien UFO or is it just something that can't be identified because people don't know?
I think we can rule out Russia because there's not a Ukrainian stealing it. So there's that.
I can't imagine an Earth-based government having this sort of technology. So the question for me is this like an object, or is it some sort of weird anomaly that they picked up and saw and whatever?
Explain what we're actually looking at. I can see a dot in the middle of a screen. What are we actually seeing? What's the amazing thing about what we're looking at?
So I'm not an expert on these, but basically this is what the carrier group Nimitz and their sort of fighter pilot detachment found were these, what they called Tic Tacs. Now there were two events that happened, and I might get them confused.
Yeah.
But basically they're tracking this weird spherical object that was near down the sea and then was suddenly very fast next to them. It was tracking them. They could tell that it was sort of tracking them. They could tell it had counter electronic capabilities because their electronics were getting disrupted. And then it flew away at speeds that, if there were people in it, they would die from the acceleration.
Like speed number 4.
But yeah, I think the fact of it is that this is camera footage from inside the plane. This is their heads up display, their targeting display, and that sort of thing. So they would have gone back to the ship and gone, "Wow, Captain," or whatever, "I've seen some fucking weird shit." And then that would have been kicked up the line. And if it was something that the US was running, it would have just been buried. They're like, "Yeah, we didn't tell the Navy guys we were testing our jet planes out there."
Right.
But the fact that the Pentagon has gone, "Yeah, fuck it, we don't know what it is, chuck it out there," is just really quite strange.
Because the big revelation from this stuff was that there's a interagency department that's been set up. Harry Reid was really into it and put a whole bunch of money into it. And there's a government, a US government department or whatever task force that deals with UFOs. because they see them as, they see them as actual objects that are flying around, and they don't know what they are.
So, so therefore, you guys both kind of in the camp of yes, there is extraterrestrial life, and yes, it is far more advanced than us.
I
think
like the idea of not knowing.
I personally think because the US is probably one of the most advanced aerospace industries on the planet, I think if it was them, they would have buried it, and if it's not theirs, I don't think it can be anybody else. So I think, yeah, it's probably someone doing a drive-by.
Unless it's the perfect double bluff. Yeah, show it. We don't know, nothing to do with us. Show it. That would actually be quite clever.
Yeah, true that.
I tell you what, I've always thought, and this is not a theory or an idea. It's not really a theory. It's more of a question that I've heard many people talk about before, if ever. What if we're the most advanced species in the universe? What if we're number one and there are other life forms out there, but we're the ones that have the capabilities that they don't yet? And maybe in 1 million, 5 million, 10 million years from now, we'll be the ones visiting them in our spaceships, and they'll be having these conversations that we're having now. You ever heard people think about that?
I would be really disappointed and a little bit embarrassed.
But why would there be another life form that's more advanced than us if the universe has begun from a point that has been expanding for such a long time? Like, where is it? Where is it so much longer than us that's had so much more time for something to develop to that point?
Well, there is one of the potential theories that they talk about, in that civilizations don't make it far enough because they kill themselves.
Yeah.
They get destroyed. So yeah, I mean, maybe, and we're just on that path to self-destruction.
I like this comment from David. I think this is responding to if we're the most advanced species. David says, God help the universe. Which I think is perfect.
There was a book that I read ages ago. Like, I love alternate history books. And it was this idea that alien space lizards arrive on Earth in the middle of World War II, and they're a little bit further advanced than us, but not dramatically. Like, we have to fight hard, but we kind of fight them to a standstill. But the thing was that they'd sent a probe, and because their culture was so slow at developing, they'd sent a probe, and it had checked out like the most mighty military force that they could find, and they found like a knight on horseback, and they're like, right, we'll knock these guys off. But it took them like 2,500 years to get here, or something like that. You know, 500-600 years. And they come, and we've developed so much faster than them. And then the rest of the story is us winning the war against them, taking a moment, building a spaceship, and going to their planet and going, right, we're invading you now.
Fubar.
Well, the other, just one last thing about the universe and its potentialities for civilizations is that time works so differently, depending on where we're at. As Interstellar, sort of represented so well, and quite, to sad effect. There's different timelines going on depending on where we're at, depending on the gravity wells that we find ourselves in. So yeah, fuck, anything's possible. It gets pretty wacky out there.
Hey, I thought what we might do tonight as well, because this is our 100th episode, is share with a few of you guys, especially guys who have been with us since sort of day one, or sort of week one, or month one. We're going to be going for 3 weeks. A little bit about where we are today. And like, so you're clear, what I'm going to show you is not in the slightest bit impressive. It's not like I'm going to go, so look at our 1 million views. But I think I kind of feel like, seeing you guys have been involved since day one, I sort of want to share with you a little bit about where we are today, because then maybe at episode 300 or episode 500, we can look back and see what's happened in what we've been doing. So let me share this with you. This is basically the YouTube channel only. And this is the YouTube channel only since we started. So you see, I was lying to you before. It's not that we've made nothing over 100 episodes or about 150 hours of broadcasting. It's made we've made nearly $2 an hour of broadcasting. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, fuck, I'm glad I quit my job today.
So this is where we're at right now. We've had about 70,000 views on YouTube. Nice thing about that is probably it doesn't include Facebook or Twitter or that kind. And we've been picked up by a few news channels around the place as well. There's a good news channel called Fact Check New Zealand that plays a bit of our stuff. We're also on the Dunedin News Facebook page that's got 70,000 members. So probably if you added up all our views together and then threw in there a few of the old listens as well, the audio podcast, we're probably more like 90,000, maybe 80 to 90,000. So if you think about, let's call it 80, let's underestimate. We'll call it 80,000 views, 100 episodes. That's what's that? 800 views. Oh, a video. Sorry, 800 views of video because there's like 250 videos, but for 100 episodes. So it's getting there. It's getting there. The other thing that's kind of interesting is a bit about our audience and our audience for this time period. So this is 27th of June today. Just over a third is from New Zealand, which is a bit surprising. We've had a couple of clips that have gone quite viral around the world, including one on the slap heard around the world at the Oscars. And so that might have picked up a good portion of the American audience. But, 40% we'll call it from New Zealand and 20% from America and the rest from around the world. And also we are about 80-20, male 80 to female 20. And our biggest demographic is, and Chewie, you'll testify to this, when the idea for this kind of started up, we talked about we're gonna, because this, I understand the way that we're putting out this content is like content done in America quite commonly, and that attracts the bottom part of Gen X, millennials, Gen Y, and Gen Z, right? And if you can have a look, basically 85% of our audience goes from 18 to 44. So 85% of our audience is exactly that demographic, and that's kind of where we're at. So, females out there, you need to stand up and represent a bit more. But we're getting along.
Ladies.
Hey, ladies. I think that's why there's only 20%.
It's on you, ladies.
Yeah. Why there's only 20%. But that's where we're at right now. It's not a perfect snapshot, but it kind of shows you a little bit about what we're at. And, we've picked up a couple of hundred more subscribers in that time period as well. So we're ticking along. We're ticking along. Just say one more time, and we probably won't offer it again. If you're in or around the Discord, and the Discord link is in the chat, you're welcome to jump in the waiting room. And if you do jump in the waiting room, we'll try and grab you for a conversation before we wrap up. But we'll be doing that. We won't kind of put that out there again. So if you're in the Discord watching or listening primarily, and you want to have a chat with us, jump in the waiting room, and we'll grab you as we grab you appropriately and with consent. What about this for a bit of a last chat for the day, maybe? You guys pay much attention to what's going on in the Greens at the moment?
I love how the media has spun this basically quite dry piece of Green Party process into a coup or someone getting rolled. It's quite strange. But I think people are looking for a bit of drama here.
I read a headline over the weekend that said if the Greens lose James Shaw, they'll lose their best politician. And it is really interesting. Like, I spoke to some of the Greens. No, I lie. I spoke to a former Green MP about coming on and having a chat when this thing was announced about, no longer having necessarily a male and a female leadership. And the response from the former Green, who I won't name because there's no need, is they didn't want to talk about it because it was I can't think of the name, but not the Green Party MPs, but the group underneath them. What's that called, guys?
Delegates.
The delegates and the membership. It was the memberships who had made that decision. And I just thought, I wonder, I'm all for democracy, but I wonder sometimes, let's call it the audience or the members, if they really understand what's best for the political process.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Because I really do wonder if this is going to harm them. I don't think there's
the people. Yeah.
Personally, I don't believe there's a need for a male and a female. That's just my position. I also don't have a problem with having a male and a female leadership, but to kind of have a female and I don't want to say other and sound disrespectful, but a female and another leader of whatever gender that may be. I just wonder if the party faithful love the idea, but the voting public may not be quite so on board with it.
I think James Shaw has been. I'm not sure how this is probably a little bit related to what you're talking about, Pat, but I think he's been in a little bit of trouble, and that lines have sort of been drawn roughly for a while within the Green Party over whether James Shaw should be one of the co-leaders, not because he's a male, but because, and he he put it well in an article I read just before that, he's climate change minister, and there's going to be the activist base that aren't impressed with his with his progress, but it's hard when you're the minor party in a government, in a coalition government, etc., trying to get through climate change stuff when you're not, the main party.
Look, and I think that's completely fair. If the person is the wrong person to be the leader, then they're the wrong person to be the leader, whatever the reason. But I guess what I guess I'm talking about and wondering, I'm wondering how it will be perceived. I don't really even care what they do and how they run it, but I'm thinking, it's like we were talking about Jacinda Ardern and the optics of not wearing that mask. I wonder what the optics of this are for the voting public as well, because to state that there will be a female leader, right, and a non-female leader, whatever that is, why not just say there's going to be two leaders? Like maybe both leaders will be non-binary. Maybe one will be male and one will be non-binary. I'm intrigued by the process. And as I'll say it again, I'm intrigued by how much the party faithful with a voting ability have decided what they think is best, but how that will play out. Because when it comes to politics, there's give and take, and there's perception, and there's the ability to kind of play the political game to get the end you want. And I'm just intrigued as to how that will pan out overall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Green voter. I'm not a member of the party. I'm not a member of any political party. But just looking at that lineup there, that is an incredibly talented lineup. Like we were talking about the other day about some of the Labour's front bench, and wondering if there's some deadwood there. There isn't a lot of deadwood in that lineup for the Green Party.
And you got to say, when it comes to representation, especially, and I'll use the word female because obviously, in this day and age, I can't tell you what gender these people are because that's the world we live in today. But when you talk about male and female, what is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10. 3 apparent males, and the rest
They're
female.
pretty prominent people. You know what gender they identify as.
I actually don't know which one of these people identify as non-binary, because that's what we've been told, that there may be I don't know which one of them is. Do you know which person identifies as non-binary in this group? Because I genuinely don't.
No, that's just something they've put in their leadership requirements, isn't it?
Yeah, I get. No, but I get it. But I mean, I guess what I'm trying to do, George, is be polite and not say that such and such is a woman, and then get a message the next day saying that's not what I identify as. Please don't do that again. So I'm trying to be polite to the people rather than label them something that they choose not to be.
Okay. Yeah, I think James Shaw fills a position there that he's not scary to people that don't pay attention to the Green Party. He's not Nandor, as an example.
Do you think Nandor was scary?
Well, for a lot of people, maybe not scary.
Then
It's perception, right? Nandor was the perfect person for the Green Party. He's an incredibly talented and smart individual, but people went, look, it's a guy on a skateboard with dreadlocks, smoking weed. Green Party, and it took away any sort of agency of any sort of work that he was actually doing. And in James Shaw, you've got a dude, grey hair and a grey suit. He's a politician. And we don't even really talk about what personal positions that he has in the Green Party or that sort of thing. He just gets in and does the work. And as far as you look at the Green Party and who people talk about, it's always Chloe Swarbrick. Julian Genter does a lot of work and that sort of thing. But James, for a deputy leader, you just almost hear nothing from him. You hear more from Marama than James. So you know, and I think you're right. I think it's a more extreme element of Green Party delegates deciding that he's not green enough. But yeah, he said he's going to contest the leadership again, as according to their charter or whatever.
I think what he said is
we'll
he
see.
vows to redouble efforts as he bids again for the Green Party co-leadership. So yeah,
and that's got to be healthy for the party, right?
Maybe. I mean, do you remember what happened? With I mean, not a couple of cycles, but Labor went through some pretty ugly, leadership challenges, and so has National. So maybe in the long run, but it could also. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to, but leadership challenges can also cause division as well.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I would say Chloe Swarbrick. I would not be surprised if she ends up being Prime Minister one day.
Really?
Yeah, I could see that quite happily. She is whip smart, and with being so young, she's got decades ahead of her.
I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it simply because there'll always be a minor party, unless there's some kind of amalgamation, like I guess like the Democrats, and where the Labor Party and the Greens become a one. I can't imagine that happening unless that was because as much as you can love the Greens, respect the Greens, they're never going to be the majority left-wing party.
All right, I'll temper my enthusiasm here. I can easily see Chloe being leader or co-leader of the Green Party. Maybe not this time around because she said she doesn't want it. But
what about being deputy PM, like as a part of a coalition, perhaps?
Yep, could see that.
But again,
very similar to what James is doing. He's got a reasonably meaty portfolio there. Well, not a meaty because it's a Green Party. It's probably vegan, but a vegan portfolio.
A vegan sausage portfolio.
Yes. But yeah, look, I think it's just internal Green Party shenanigans, and I think it's been given like way too much attention, as if it's like this massive bloodletting. Because the last time that we saw it, it was National, and it actually was a bloodletting.
Yeah. Well, this has been a very different episode. It's been quite enjoyable. Actually, we've still talked politics, haven't we? We've still talked news and that kind of thing.
We haven't done the big issue.
Oh, Chewie, I think I've teased it twice.
The big issue, mate, especially since we've spent 100 episodes putting up my Twitter handle for people to follow me, and me making the joke, you'll see me cyberbully bloody somebody. Over the weekend I went too far. So
can you show? Oh, you can show us, eh?
This is where it started.
Okay.
Auckland mayoral candidates at a I don't know, press conference, debate, whatever you want to call it.
Who's the dirty Santa on the left?
So that would be Mr. Leo Malloy. And what I loved about this picture is obviously he looks like he's rolled out of bed, but he also looks quite a bit shorter than the other delegates. And there's another photo which I cannot find for the life of me. I've been looking for the last hour. Taken from a 3/4 view behind that podium there, where he's actually standing on tiptoes.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, the guy's a former jockey. He's a wee fella, and of course Twitter ran with it, and we're making all sorts of jokes about his height. And Leo, being the fragile wee fella that he is, waded into it. So there you go, 1.65. 5'6", 80 kilograms, can deadlift 150 kilos, leg press 400 plus kilograms. Be afraid, weak, whinging wokesters. So there's our.
He's going to beat us up. Is that what he's saying? Is that a threat, Leo?
Yeah. Look, if I'm drawing a line between other statements that he said, he's going to come at us with his very hard cock and beat all of those of us up that have soft cocks. So that's great. Now, I may have made a comment. Well, actually, I may have made 3 comments. Only one of them has got me at this stage permanently banned from Twitter. Are you
permanently banned?
Yeah. So it just said suspended.
Oh, okay.
And then when I got home from work and I actually brought it up on my computer, it says permanently suspended.
Wow.
I've appealed it, but I don't know if I'm getting it back.
Have you had strikes before?
I have had a 3-day Twitter jailing.
All right.
At which point I created another account. That was for telling. Oh, I forget who it was, but I told someone that they should uppercut themselves to sleep. So maybe that was a fair cop. Actually, I think it was Brian Tamaki. But yeah, the comment that I made to Mr. Leo Malloy, you need to be stuffed in a lunch bag and thrown off a bridge. And that's it. And to be fair, with lunch bag, I'm talking like a bread bag, something very small, because he's weak.
Yeah. I'll get it.
So there's that.
Fascinated as to how that can lead to a banning. I mean, surely that's a bot that's picked up on a couple of words and done it, and you'll be able to.
No, won't someone have reported it?
Well, that's the
Is that
thing.
how it
Like,
works?
I report a fair amount of hateful content and that sort of thing, and it seems to be that the most effective thing is that you need, like, 5 to 10 people all report the same comment for the same thing. So
Yeah.
maybe powerful forces are rallying against me. Maybe it's a grand conspiracy.
Wow, there you go. The new conspiracy. Maybe Twitter's not real.
Well, Twitter's not real. No, I couldn't live with that, mate. So yeah, I'm on my my other account now, which is Chewie, the People's Troll. And unfortunately, I haven't given myself a cool Twitter handle at the moment, so I've got to think of something cool.
Yeah.
So if you've got an idea, drop it in chat. The one I
Chewie?
like the most, I'll change it to.
Yeah.
Chewie,
You
like
just have
lots
to
of
start-
combinations of Chewie have already been taken.
Chewie
so-
with a 3 and a 1, CH1,
Yeah, no, that's gone. I've done it,
W1
Lee.
3.
Do you
Oh,
just have to
God.
start all over again, Chewie? Do you not get that account back ever?
No. At the moment, it's still up. It's read only, and I have 0 followers, and you can see retweets, but you can't see actual tweets.
I put a tweet out at 9:30 today and said, come and join us for the 100th tonight. I'll be chatting with at George, and I was like, oh shit, that's right. There's no at Chewie anymore, so I did hashtag Chewie. So there you go. Yeah, it's a sad thing. I was, and I don't mean to bring it down at the end of the show, but sometimes, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but you look in your phone and you come across someone who's passed away. You're like, oh, I kind of felt like that, Chewie. I was like,
Pour one out for me, homie.
Passed away off Twitter. He had a Twitter death. We've had a Twitter death in the family, George.
Gone
What's
too
going on?
soon.
Gone
And
too
remembered
soon.
fondly. Not by Christopher Bishop, but remembered fondly by some.
I think we should all say thanks once again to everyone joining in. Look, I've really also appreciated. There's been the texts have been utterly bananas tonight. There is a huge number in there. It's been nice. Thank you for all the comments. It's been lovely. I haven't marked any of them. You guys have marked some of them. Someone marked the kooky Nick about Kanye there. Does anyone want to share on that?
Yeah, that was in reference to who's running for the presidency next time.
Oh,
Kanye get his shit together enough.
Someone in Melbourne. Andy in Melbourne. There you go. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for you guys. Oh, thank you for everybody who's joining us tonight. But for you regulars and stuff who have hung around and been with us for the whole time or a good portion of time, I really do appreciate it. Want to remind you as well that if you enjoy what we're doing, one of the best ways that you can, kind of get what we're doing is to go and subscribe to our daily audio podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify as well. All you got to do is search for hashtag BHN or Big Hairy News. If you search for hashtag BHN, we actually come up right at the top. No one's really done that on any podcast anywhere in the world for some reason. So that's all you got to do to find us. We are also on Rover, which is a MediaWorks product if you want to check us out. And all we do is when we get off here, we just rip the audio, put it into a podcast and put it out to the world. So, you wake up tomorrow morning and you've missed half the show because you went to bed early, then you can just catch up on what you've missed as you're driving to work or being at work or whatever it is. And that's kind of it. And if you are going to be a part of that, then share us around. That's the other thing. Hashtag share our shit is our little hashtag that we use. A great way you can support us is to let other people know about us. Because that is what we were. Why am I commenting on Twitch and I haven't written anything. Which one of you guys is using my Twitch handle?
That was me. I'm not banned off Twitch yet.
I'm going to ban you. Oh, that's what you're doing. You're using other people's social media so you can get your filthy opinions out there. And we'll be back tomorrow night from 10 p.m. for a regular edition. Although this kind of feels like, guys, this was a bit of a proper news conversation in the end. We talked about Trump and we talked about the Greens and we talked about conspiracy theories and the historical accuracy of JFK and yada, 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 yada. Anywho, thanks, guys. Anything else you want to leave with Chewie or George before we sign off for the night?
No. Apart from, if you've got a good idea from a Twitter handle, let me know. I'm struggling. I thought Commissar Chewie. That's a placeholder at the moment.
Commissar.
Yeah, Commissar Chewie. Good socialist.
Chewie.
Little bit cheeky.
The Chewmeister.
Chewmeister. I'd need to take up surfing if I was going to use that, or basically it'd make me like Big Lebowski.
Chewarama Ding Dong. What about that? That's pretty good one. Chewarama Ding Dong. I like that one.
That's the best one.
Yeah. There you go. Here's the winner. Follow
please, someone in the chat, come up with something better.
No, we're going to go now because what I believe I heard, George, was some kind of verbal contract where Chewie said he'd take us the best suggestion of the night. And I think that's it so far. So it's going to have to be Chewarama Ding Dong. I think is going to be the name. What about Furry Chewie? You'll get all sorts of connections if you put furry in there somewhere. Might be good for you. Might be good for your stand-up.
Start selling feet pics or something.
What's your porn name? David's just said. What do? You do your first pet's name and the name of the street you grew up.
Oh, actually, mine's it's pretty good.
What is it?
Pretty good. Midnight Beauvray.
So the street name comes second, is it? Beauvray?
No, that's the way that you said it there. But okay. Yeah, Midnight Beauvray makes me sound like exotic.
Mm. Do you know what mine is?
Like mysterious.
I tend to do it the other way around. Street name first and then pet's name. Because if that's the case, it's Hillsborough Muff. We had a cat called Muff. And I grew up on Hillsborough Road, Hillsborough Muff. So that's my porn name, officially.
Looks like you're up, George.
George, you want to play?
Which way around is it?
Either way, I could do Muff Hillsborough, but I think Hillsborough Muff sounds better.
I don't know what street. Maybe Colombo. So Sandos Colombo or Colombo.
That's pretty good. That's a stud's name. Sandos Colombo is a stud's name. That's
Sandos is like Sandos Laboratories, which is the place that the LSD guy worked for.
I can imagine Sandos Colombo like being on a horse, a big white horse with the open shirt, blowing in the breeze. Can't you just see that, Sandos?
Yeah, it just writes itself.
All right. Chewy out ladies. What is it? There we go. There's your new name. Chewing out ladies wearing basically nothing, drunk Asian on the rain on Cuba Street. Oh, drunk as in, not Asian. Drunk Asian.
Drunk Asian.
Yeah, there you go.
Demonetized.
Oh, is that available? Drunk Asian? Drunk Caucasian. All right. I'm going to go before I get cancelled for saying something that I shouldn't do. And we'll see you guys all tomorrow night from 10 p.m. for another edition of Big Hairy News. Thanks for being with us. And thanks so far for being on board for you guys who have been here for a good period of time. And for anyone else who's been here for your first night as well. We'll see you tomorrow night at 10 p.m. All right. Hooroo.